What is going on, everybody? It is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today Todd McShay dropped his first mock draft of the year, so we're having to push back our mock draft with trades one more day. But if you guys are new, feel free to like, comment, subscribe to all that fun YouTube jazz. We are continuing this mock draft for an extra round. That's what makes mine special. I'm not going to just scroll, tell you my thoughts, and then just complete that as a video because I just personally think that's a little bit lazy. So I want to give you guys some good content, something original, and I think this is the best way to do it. I want you guys to I want to put my name to some certain picks rather than just be the guy who goes and nags about all this stuff. But again, if you guys are new, I would love for you guys to stay around. We just breached 5,500 not too long ago, so I'm trying to get to 6K by the end of the month. You guys can make that possible. Of course, join the Discord. We have over 230 members there, which is awesome. And we do stuff over there like tape studies on all 22 that you can't do here. Of course, I am finishing finals up, so appreciate y'all's patience with me as always. Let's kick right into the video because this is going to be a fun one in many ways. So again, like there's a cool logo right there. Probably not the type, I'm not the type of person to like just copy and paste that and strap a logo to it. I like to create my own thumbnails, but they do a good job there at ESPN. I digress. The number one pick right here is Bryce Young. If you guys are looking at this saying like, and you guys are new, like, what is this? These are my personal board rankings. So you guys get to see exactly what I feel, what I think. And I have some very unique takes, of course. And I know that I might be wrong on them, but I at least want to be honest with you guys about my thoughts. I want you guys to also see in writing pretty much what I believe. So again, I wanted that to be there for you guys right now. But Bryce Young, the number one pick, we're not going to waste much time on it. I think he's the most elite quarterback in the class. He has some very, very unique traits, that being his height and his weight. That do put him as a little bit of a negative. But his processing is incredible. We've seen him in very real NFL situations because his team doesn't have that much of a comparative advantage over other teams, which we've seen him be able to lose, which is incredible. Like, you don't really think about it very much, but seeing how a player loses is really key because you're not always going to have success at the next level. And so far, we've seen Bryce Young elevate his roster, and this is just not the same Alabama squad that it's been over the past decade. So really do like the fact that we're getting a nice taste of what Bryce Young actually is as a quarterback. Yeah, he's a special kid. He's special. I hope he stays healthy. But this is the perfect pick here for Seattle at number 2, Jalen Carter. Pass rush absolutely is a necessity for this team. However, I definitely know that being able to pick Jalen Carter here is by far the best value. The drop-off from him to the next guy is so significant compared to the edge rushers that like it's a no-brainer. If you go after Will Anderson here, I love Will. Look, right there. It's in like the proof is in the pudding. I have him as my number 1 player. You're still missing out on a lot of value because you can have that second first-round pick be Jared Verse, who you guys see it on my board, number 8 overall. Like, you have special talents in this class, a very deep edge class. You do not have a deep D-tackle class, and Jalen Carter, a lot of people are saying he's the best since Aaron Donald, and I don't think that is too far off. And I'm usually not a huge fan of going into your defensive line early, but when there's special, unique talents, even if they fail, you took a swing on someone who could be truly impactful. Because just getting a solid D-tackle, you can get that anytime in the draft, but getting someone who's truly special, that's when you really start making a difference in the game, and that's very, very hard to find. So I'm a big fan of this pick right here. Bears, of course, if that is how the cards fall, you go Will Anderson. You're going to go Will Anderson or Jalen Carter if you're here at 3 still, and you know what? I'm all here for it. You should potentially try to field offers for a trade down, but I honestly don't think this quarterback class is good enough to be able to have that happen. Now, you could see a team like the Carolina Panthers, if they stop winning, decide to be like, hey, we're going to trade like this year and next year's first, and then we'll move up to here and get someone like CJ. I personally wouldn't. I would rather try to see if you can tank, but of course that team is really damn good. They're always able to win games. So, maybe using that first round pick to move up here to be able to secure at least a top guy wouldn't be a bad idea. But the Bears should at least be listening to offers, and if they can, move down. If they can't, stay in place and be able to relax and take it to the bank. So number 4, the Detroit Lions. So CJ Stroud. Now, you're in a weird spot because I don't believe this mock has trades. And if you're sitting here Personally, I would be looking at Miles Murphy. I would potentially be looking at Joey Porter. I would be looking at maybe Christian Gonzalez if you want to take a huge swing. This is a free pick. Again, you guys, I had full faith in you guys to make the playoffs. That was my original records prediction, is you guys actually made the playoffs. But, I mean, I'm not going to say go QB. Jared Goff's been playing out of his mind. He's been playing a very, very, very high level, and he probably will take a team-friendly deal because of the fact that, there's not many places where he would start. But this is a place where you've been able to see him have success even this year. Like, he's been able to play very well, and that's something that we should definitely commend, not by spending a top 4 pick on another QB. Now, if this happens, it's not the end of the world. You have a really good offensive line. You have some really good weapons in there as well. So I don't think CJ is going to be out of his element. But it would be kind of funny for someone who's never beat University of Michigan to then go play in Michigan. I digress, but I personally would not be going CJ Stroud here. Again, I would be looking to trade back. You can acquire an extra first-round pick. You're seeing the Colts sitting there at 9, or I don't know exactly where they are in this specific ranking, but if they're sitting there at 9, just be like, hey, give us your future first. Maybe we'll toss in a third-round pick so that we can just continue acquiring first-round picks in the future, and then take your guy CJ. I would be so down for that. Personally, I think they're at 7 in this, so first-rounder's a little bit pricey for asking for it, but you're still going to be getting extremely good value for a trade down at this option. And I think that would be the best move because, again, you can move back, get someone like Miles Murphy, Joey Porter, and be perfectly happy. Pick number 5. So this is the reason why I decided to delay my mock draft. I usually would just be like, okay, I'm going to do this in a couple days. But I'm sorry. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry for this. Again, Bijan is a special talent. He's one of the best running backs that we've seen. But if this is a serious luxury pick, spend it on something that has a high return. And this running back class is so deep. Even though some of my favorite backs have decided to return, there's so many guys that you can pick up late. You can pick them up in the 5th round that are 70% of what Bijan Robinson is. That value difference is insane. And if you can pick up Miles Murphy, which is the dream at this spot, if you can pick up Joey Porter, you have so much more to gain than if you just pick up Bijan. And I love Bijan. He's my number 1 running back. But this is not it. It's not. It's a free pick that you're pretty much throwing in the drain in terms of value. After 5 years, is Bijan really going to be worth a 5-year contract at $15 million a year? That's going to seriously cap your team. You might as well continue to try to rotate 70% of Bijan and have a 5-star stud on the defensive line or in the corner room than have Bijan. I don't get it. I don't. And I just want to apologize right there. I don't like Brian Breezy. I rewatched him last night again in the championship game against UNC where he had his best game statistically all year. I purposely tried to cherry pick. And you see the flashes, but how often do we have to ask when is he going to be 100%? If that's an issue, that's something that really needs to be noted, is that we haven't seen him at 100% in 2 years. So we'll talk about that when he comes up, but I'm really, really not a huge fan of that pick at all. Again, I understand that a lot of teams love Bijan, and Todd McShay deserves all the respect in the world, but I'm just not a fan of that at all. Falcons going Will Levis. If they're sitting here, you could definitely see it because they were huge fans of Trey Lance. But if I'm sitting here and I'm Atlanta, I'm going either a corner or Miles Murphy. I want to get something. I want to get something on my defense. I'm calling up the 49ers being like, dude, if Brock Purdy's your dude, what's the price for Trey? 2nd round pick? Might be a first still. Not going to send a 6th overall pick for him. That's for damn sure. But if you really love that style, maybe buy low on a player who has high potential rather than buy high on someone that you don't know. And Will's also older. I like Will Levis. I do. I'm not one of the Will haters. I do there's a video on Twitter I retweeted. You links are down in the description. Where he was just doing obviously against air throwing drills. And I was like, holy crap. The ball zips out of his hand. It's insane the velocity that he throws with. But it is something that could work there in Atlanta. And I would be super excited to see how Kyle Pitts would fare because you have some really solid tight ends there at UK that have been utilized very well. And I hope that Will Levis would continue to do that at the next level. Again, not my ideal pick, but again, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility because I was also a lot lower on Desmond Ridder. Colts going Peter Skoronski. You know, if you're, I don't think I would force AR here, so I think that's the best move. You could say that Peter has short arms. He has 32-inch arms, which not necessarily good for an offensive tackle, and it is concerning. He is shorter. I'm not going to go into the physics of it, but basically do your geometry triangles. Basically, your engagement point is very similar to somebody with 33.5-inch arms. Regardless, I still think that even if he does kick into guard, that's still going to be a nasty guard pair there. That might be 2 Hall of Fame guards there with Peter Skoronski as well as Quentin Nelson. And I'd be totally willing to do that. I'd be willing to take that risk because of the fact that this class is not good enough at offensive tackle. And Peter Skoronski has the best potential out of the tackles. And apparently my number 21 player is still hinted at returning, which breaks my heart. And, of course, you guys see up to 20, or number 22, Javon Foster. But, you know, it is what it is, man. I like Peter Skoronski a lot, and he does bring a lot to the table. This is a team that needs to rebuild the offensive line. Build your identity through Jonathan Taylor. Don't force a QB. Just don't do it. You'll regret it, and trust me, you're looking at the Titans. Malik Willis was pretty much a lot of people's top 2 QB. He's probably not going to start for another year or 2. And we've already seen that he's had a lot of struggles. AR is going to have those struggles too. Don't force a QB pick because he'll probably be ready at the same time as a QB in next year's class. Build your team up and then address it later. So I'm a big supporter of that pick. Vegas Raiders going Tyree Wilson. I like Tyree a lot. Obviously, you guys, again, get to see him on my board. I don't need to say that. But, I mean, it's so tough for me to write off Chandler Jones. It is. I know he's so inconsistent, and you need something next to Max Crosby, but this team has so many more holes. You have Christian Gonzalez there, who I think is probably the best corner for this specific scheme in the NFL, or in the draft, excuse me. And, you know, he has so much potential. That guy could be like your Jalen Ramsey, and you're going after a rotational defensive end. And I love Tyree. Again, you see it on my board right there. But I am not ready to say I'm throwing all of my other needs away that still have really good value in order to get someone like Tyree. Again, this is a deep edge class, deep defensive end class. You can get somebody like Isaiah McGuire probably in the 3rd round. I am at number 2 overall on my board. I'm a realist. I understand that he's not going to be anywhere close to that. You can get value like that in the 3rd round where they're very similar size, 6'4", 6'5", 275 pounds, and be able to use that value now to get a top-end corner that you won't be able to in the 3rd. This team has so many issues. Defensive end is not one that I'm necessarily dying to fix. I'd much rather fix the pass, the coverage guys as well as the linebackers and the defensive interior before the edge. Steelers going Paris Johnson. I'm much lower on Paris Johnson than most people. However, I do understand it, and I think that any offensive line help is help, and the Steelers need it. As a Steelers fan, I know we need it, and I do believe in Kenny Pickett. Don't even start talking about replacing him. He has a lot of talent. He has a lot of potential. He has a lot of talent. But yeah, that's the right move. Cardinals going Brian Breezy. Again, I'm really low on Brian Breezy. It is what it is. I know quite a few scouts that don't like him either. He has an amazing frame, 6'5", 300 pounds, and he has long-ass arms. I'm talking about where you're seeing him pretty much at this with his back, with his arm in the ground. His arms are so long, he doesn't even have to be at a flat angle when he's in a 4-point stance. He has incredible length, and he has some crazy moves in there. Problem is consistency and health. And there's just some plays where it's really? You couldn't do something on that play? And there's some plays where it's wow, that looks incredible. I need consistency. But then he gets injured all the time. He has 21 pressures on the year, which you hear that, it's okay, that's not that bad. But 5 of it was in one game. In this last game, he had 16 pressures up to the final championship week. And I'm sorry, his buddy, Tyler Davis, has more pressures on less snaps, less pass rush snaps. I just don't understand it. Brian Breezy's also been very situational. Again, that probably is because of injury, but he's not playing that many reps. And even though it's weird how the pass rush reps are more for Brian Breezy, but he's specifically substituted out on a lot of drives. And And maybe, again, that might be his health. But you have to have someone who's there. The best ability is availability. I would not be surprised if Breezy falls very far in the draft because of the fact that he's had health concerns so often. Because, again, we see guys like Nakobe Dean, a lock first-round pick. As we close towards the NFL draft, these draft experts get inside information from the medical evaluations, and then they start dropping them out. And we're like, oh, their talent didn't get worse. I feel like Brian Breezy might be in that category. And I hope not. I really want him to prove me wrong. I love when players prove me wrong because good football is better than being right. But I don't know. It would be a good spot for, like, if Arizona does do this, it's like, okay, you know what? You're taking a swing on a high upside D tackle. But I just think there's better positions like corner to go after. Keely Ringo's a dude who's literally from the area. Christian Gonzalez, monster. I think those are better picks. But Joey Porter, I don't really think he fits the scheme as well, but I still think that's great. Miles Murphy as well. Panthers going Anthony Richardson. That's a bit of a force in my opinion, but you're going to fall in love with the tools. You are. 6'4", 236. He's a big, strong guy. He has the strongest arm in the class. And the ball just flies off his hands effortlessly. So definitely, if he pans out, he's going to be God tier. Obviously, he's my number 2 quarterback coming into the year. He's fallen to QB4, but again, still, the tools are there. The problem is, you can't be throwing 33% completion percentage against Florida State. You just can't do that. You can't have those cold streaks where you're pretty much 10% completion percentage over a portion of the game. And that is a risk you run with Anthony Richardson. So, again, I'm rooting for the best. It's a great situation for him to be in. But, it's tough. It's tough. Texans going Michael Mayer. Again, I don't really value tight ends that highly. And I'll scroll down so you guys get to see a little bit more of my board. I don't value tight end that highly. I don't. And Michael Mayer is a very solid tight end. I'm a Steelers fan. Reminds me a lot of Pat Freiermuth. Might be a better version of Pat Freiermuth. And that usually isn't my style of tight end. I don't like grading them very highly because of the fact that they're not elite separators, but they're just really good. It's weird to say, but I don't think the Texans' best bang for their buck of this pick is Michael Mayer. You want a receiving weapon 100%. And there's some really good tight ends down the board. But being able to get Quentin Johnston here, that is the best option. Again, I love the idea of a receiving threat, but go after the wide receiver. You have Brandon Cooks, who obviously doesn't want to be there half of the time. You guys were still trying to ship him around yourselves. And obviously Nico Collins, he's okay, but you can always upgrade over that. You want to get a true X receiver, get Quentin Johnston. And obviously if Jacksonville's sitting here, I would actually try, again, if I'm in their spot, I would try to trade away with a team that's trying to move up to get Quentin Johnston. Because you see the Packers here. I would not be surprised if the Lions are like, we love DJ Chark, but we also don't want to face somebody like the Packers with Quentin Johnston. Would not be surprised if they tried to force that move. However, if you are sitting here, it's between this and a corner. I don't think there's any other position that I would necessarily target. You do have Calvin Ridley, which is my one thing that's pushing me heavily towards corner here, but I still think that's perfectly fine. I like Quentin Johnston a lot. I don't know what Calvin Ridley's going to look like. We're seeing players like Deshaun Watson come off extensive time off and not play at the level that they used to, and pretty understandably. So getting Quentin Johnston to me would be a very wise option. However, you might get your best bang for your buck from going after someone like Christian Gonzalez, Keely Ringo. Miles Murphy is next. Again, an incredible player, my number 6 player in the draft. I watched him last night, and again, in that championship game, he didn't perform statistically as well as Brian Breezy, but my God, there's still some reps where I'm like, holy crap. I don't know what's up with Miles' inconsistency this year, because he used to be just a consistent push the pocket type of threat. He has some reps which are just pure God tier, obviously showing bend even, and literally, I call it scorpioning. Scorpioning an offensive tackle where their back pretty much looks like this. You're putting a lot of pressure on their upper torso and driving them back that way. He does it. And he's a perfect guy for the Packers. I think this is a perfect pick. But because, again, I know damn well that they're probably going to try to target a defensive player in the first. And, edge definitely feels like something they'd be looking at. But, again, Miles Murphy, perfect pick. Really damn good player. Patriots going Broderick Jones. You're going to be losing Isaiah Wynn, so you're replacing him with another Georgia tackle. That's fine. I don't mind it. I like Broderick Jones quite a bit. Joey Porter Jr., my number 3 player in the entire draft class. Love him. Big fan. So this is perfect. The Lions, I would have considered him at your first pick. So to get him here at your second, not too bad. Jets going to Osiris Torrance. I think the issue lies more with the offensive tackle scenario rather than the guards. And there's still some really good tackles on the board like Anton Harrison that I would personally be a much bigger fan of. So that's where I would personally go with that. Seattle Seahawks going Brian Branch. I could see it because they do value safety quite a bit, but I don't feel like it's that desperate of a need. I would go edge rusher here 100%, and I wouldn't look back. I would go linebacker here with Trent Simpson, not look back. But for Brian Branch, he's just so dynamic that it's hard to say no, but I'm going to say no because of that fact. I really like the guys who are on the board. Tampa Bay Buccaneers going Christian Gonzalez. You already heard me hype this guy up enough. I think he could be a top 4 pick. Giants going Jordan Addison. He's a damn good player. And this team does need a weapon now that Kadarius Toney is gone. I know that Wandale was just brought there last year. And didn't he... Okay, I'm so happy y'all do not see this random pop-up on my screen. But... it's like one of those security ones that you get. Super annoying. It's like, okay, yeah, do you want to check for viruses? Like, no, thank you, buddy. Not in the mood. But Wandale Robinson, I think he got torn ACL, so glad to see that. Not glad to see that, but glad to see that, like, that was behind the paywall that just randomly popped up. But Jordan Addison would be a great compliment, even with Wandale there. I just don't think Wandale, I wasn't very high on him in the first place. Is a reason to not try to upgrade at that position. And the ball, like the quick game is really important to this team, especially to someone like Daniel Jones. I think Addison's perfect for that. And the value is just too good. You're also defending against the Cowboys potentially getting Jordan Addison. And after all, the Cowboys just got on T.Y. Hilton. Jordan Addison, not a bad comp for T.Y. Hilton. So we'll reverse roles. T.Y. Hilton's not a bad comp for Jordan Addison. Let's continue on. Commanders going Keely Ringo. That is incredible. Thanks Terms of Use for just randomly popping up here. But I think that's incredible. Very good value. Good player. That's a perfect pick. Titans going Jackson Smith and Jigba. Probably going to run to the 4.55 to 4.6 range. He got caught up by a linebacker in Brandon Smith who ran 4.53 at the draft last year. So you do see comparatively not necessarily the fastest guy in the world, but he's a reliable target. If you do see Malik Willis take over, you're definitely going to want somebody who's more open rather than just deep. So I like a guy where I can trust a micro separation. Definitely someone who's going to be very reliable. Chargers going Cam Smith. Not bad. Honestly, I never blame a team for going after DBs because, one, they get injured all the time. Two, they're super inconsistent, like J.C. Jackson has been for them. But I mean, Cam Smith's a damn good player, and he definitely seems to be someone who could fit into the Chargers scheme. So I would not hate on that pick at all. Broncos going Jameer. I just think scat backs are able to be taken later. I'd rather try to develop an offensive lineman like Darnell Wright. I know that I'm higher on him than most as well, so I'm going to take my bias a little bit out of it, but there's offensive linemen that are available. Again, Anton Harrison still on the board. But Baltimore going Clark Phillips. He's a really good player. It's tough to think that he'll play on the boundary at 5'10", but, he definitely is a damn good corner. So I'm not going to shame it, but I'd have my doubts. I think Trent Simpson would be a better option here. Him and Roquan would be a nasty combo. Him, Roquan, and Queen, that'd be freaking ridiculous. The amount of speed in that second level would be god tier if they're able to retain Roquan Smith. Bengals going Devon Witherspoon. I think this is back-to-back mocks that I've looked at that have had Devon Witherspoon to the Bengals. It's tough to see a 180-pound, 6-foot corner being this talented being this consistent in the AFC North. You have just teams that love for wide receivers to block, and this guy seems that he could be easily taken out of any play. So I assume that if this does happen and he does start, which I think that you guys have Cam Taylor-Britt, and then you also have I'm tripping on who else you guys have there. But you have two really nice boundary corners as well as Mike Hilton. I don't think this is necessarily a need you need to force. And based on Devon's size, might be a guy who you're having to force into that spot. So I'd try to wait for a later pick and try to see if you could get a more developmental guy, the way you did last year, and get Cam Taylor-Britt in the second, who I was a big fan of too. Vikings going to Zay Flowers. I love Zay. The problem is he didn't even get invited to the Senior Bowl, so I highly doubt that he's going to get the hype to go here in the first. But I do like the idea of getting another weapon for the Vikings. Thielen's not getting younger. Rager, he's obviously not what he was originally thought to be coming out of the draft. Bills Antonio Johnson, one of my favorite picks for them in the draft. So Lucas Van Ness. Now, he's been getting a randomly huge hype train, and I studied him with you guys on Discord. So again, join. I do not see it. He's super raw, super talented. You definitely can tell he has talent, but this guy's not ready. I think he should return, personally. I think he will. He obviously, I'm going to check right before we start continuing the mock draft, but pretty sure that he hasn't decided on coming out yet, and I think he should just return. There's not that many talented edge rushers in the next class compared to this one. I would not think that defensive end is necessarily what you have to take in the first place. I think that you could end up addressing offensive line. Obviously, Terrence Steele, now with a torn ACL, he's not going to be back early next year. And even if he is, you want him to be 100% healthy before coming back. And obviously, Tyron Smith's going to be gone, so we should probably assume that he'll be gone or injured. That just is what we have to think now. But you can definitely go and get a guard as well. Andrew Voorhees is on the board. Talented, veteran offensive presence. Some people are claiming for running back. I would not do that, especially if you're going after RB3. If Bijan's on the board, at least toss it into the consideration cap. But Lucas Van Ness, that's not who I would take. I would take Jared Verse, but not him. Jared Verse for the Chiefs. I'm a little bit worried about him being a little bit slight in terms of his size for a SPAG defense, but again, I think that this guy could absolutely be the best player in the class, and it's not that far off. Eagles going Isaiah Foskey to end this off. I'm not high on Foskey. I've studied him now 6 times. I see some potential, but at the end of the day, you got to put rubber to road, and I don't see it. I don't see the actual consistent impact. So that's going to be that. Let's hop right into the mock draft. So, starting off with the second round. I was about to say the second first-round pick. I'm like, that is complete BS. My mind is still tricked into thinking 32 is a first-round pick. But so far, we got Michael Mayer. We have Bryce Young. Now, looking at the guys on the board, Trent Simpson's the easy option for me. I take him in the first round. I'm not even looking who else is available. Linebacker is fairly thin in this class, and some of the guys we were hoping on developing just decided not to develop very much. Trent Simpson's one of the few guys who has, and he has elite athleticism, he has elite production, and he definitely is a very, very good player with an extremely high upside that I would add to Christian Harris, who is another guy who I was a very big fan of last year, who's been actually making plays. He almost got a pick in zone coverage, which is awesome against Dak. So, I love Christian Harris. He's starting to pan out. I think him and Trent Simpson would make a nasty elite linebacking pair in a year or two. Pick number 33, another team where would have died for some Trent Simpson, but edge rusher definitely on a high priority list for me. I still have guys who are in my top 10 who are on the board, but we're going to go B.J. Ojulari. It's a perfect fit. He could be an outside linebacker rusher. He's my number 11 player in the class. I'll scroll up so you guys can see a little bit more of my board once again. Again, we still have my number 2 player. He'll go sometime in this, but again, I blend my board with realism, because I want you guys to get something that's a nice, well-rounded, at least curated approach from my end that still doesn't skew away from reality. But you still got Felix on the board, Will McDonald. He's probably going to be falling quite a bit, to be honest with you. But there's still some really good players on the board. I'm going to continue scrolling down so you guys get to see all of this good stuff, including Zay Flowers there. Gotta love him. But pick number 34 for the Steelers, we ended up getting a nice offensive lineman. Thank God. It's about damn time. But now is the perfect time to get someone like Jalen Jones. We need some run stuffing for sure, but I want to make sure we can at least stop the pass too. And getting a nice boundary corner like Jalen Jones, who's my number 7 player in the class, definitely feels like the perfect thing for the Steelers. Really good in press, really good in zone. Very solid against the run as well. I'm a big fan of Jalen Jones. I think he's allowed just about 100 yards on the entire year, and he's had like 400 or 300 pass coverage reps, which is incredible. He's been playing lights out. And he let up 38 of those yards in week 1. So definitely a very, very talented corner. Pick number 35 for the Rams. I'm going Anton Harrison. I'm not looking back. I need offensive line. I do not care who else is there. Pick number 36. I'm looking at QB. I'm looking heavily at QB because I think this team desperately needs it. But let's look at other positions. I'm 90% here. I'm 90% on the Tanner McKee train because I do think that's a very, very good value. So wide receiver, you definitely can go after one. I don't necessarily think that this wide receiver class is one good because, even guys like Kayshon Boutte decided to say, like, peace. But, it's not valuable enough for me right now. Tight end, no. Running back, no. Offensive line, not right now. Especially with Trevor Penning, who I was not a fan of. I'll just put it that way. Still growing and developing, trying to recover from that injury. But, I'm cornered here right now, guys. I'm going to be going after QB. We're going to go Tanner McKee. I think it's the right move. You're going to get pretty much a younger upgrade over Andy Dalton, and it's just time. It's time to try something new. So Tanner McKee definitely could be that option. You could go Cam Ward. I respect that as well, but that's probably going to be the best case scenario in my opinion. Pick number 37. So Will Levis was the first round pick. Do with that as you will. I don't think Garrett Williams is coming out. Otherwise, he's the easy pick. Tyree Stevenson, definitely someone who I'm considering here. Obviously, you got some really good players like Kyu Blue Kelly, Eli Ricks, who all have their own respective strengths. We're going to consider Garrett Williams is not returning. Again, ACL tear for someone who should be a top 15 pick, in my opinion. That guy's lights out. I'm such a huge fan of him. Edge rusher. Got to get some edge rush help in here, guys. And going to be honest, you have some incredible options. Andre Carter is a stud. People who do not like him, they don't watch the tape. No disrespect, Richard. I know he's going to be coming at me in the comment section, but Andre Carter's phenomenal. He has 33 3/4 inch arms as well, so he has very large arms, larger than the tackles he'll be facing. 6'7", and he's a hyper athlete. And he has a crazy. He has good why do I want to say projection? He has good production. There we go. But he has a crazy high pass rush win rate that you guys don't get to see because I pay for the PFF stuff. And that's what you guys get to see also in the Discord. So again, come on in. And then you can always hit me up and ask me to see certain things because I'm more than happy to do that with you guys. But Andre Carter, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, both incredible options. You pick your poison. I'm going to go with the higher ceiling guy here who will probably test better in Andre Carter. He's a little bit he's like 3 spots lower on my board than Felix, but who cares? You're still getting a phenomenal player who just has a much higher upside at 6'7", 260. Pick number 38. So, again, QB would be nice. Not on the board right now. Hendon's 25, just injured himself. I don't really want a QB he's one old, but he injured his best ability. That's his mobility. That's just tough. It's tough. I think Hendon could be dropping a lot farther than what we want to admit because I really like Hendon Hooker too. But 3rd round, Bo Nix, hell yes. Hell yes. Pull that trigger, man. Instantly. But for now, you could technically go back-to-back offensive tackles. There's still some purely, some baller offensive tackles like Darnell Wright who are available. But I'm not going to do that. I want to look at some wide receivers here, though. Josh Downs is such a stud. He is. I watched him last night. He needs to move up on my board. I am a huge fan of him. Board's not fully updated just because of the fact that I'm still waiting on all the declarations and stuff and more tape to watch. And also, wide receivers, I don't really move that much based off of normal game tape because you don't get to watch them play. But all 22, which is still coming out. I think Josh Downs would be such a fun option here. He's just so dynamic in space. I haven't been against Josh Downs. I've been a very big fan of Josh Downs for a while. Just maybe not too high on my board because I think most of these guys are very similar. Zay Flowers, Josh Downs, these guys who are really good in space. Josh Downs is a perfect fit for this team, in my opinion. Definitely a nice new weapon. Pretty much your T.Y. Hilton of the future. He has unique movement skills. I really do. I want to move him a lot higher on my board. After watching him a couple games, he does pop off. I got to give him credit where credit's due. Pick number 39, I wish this were Tanner McKee because it would be such a good understudy to Derek Carr, and especially good for somebody like McDaniels. I think he'd work perfectly in the system. But we can't assume that right now. Ended up going Tyree Wilson, I think, in the first. I want to look at the linebackers here. Drew Sanders is such a baller. I think Jack Campbell feels like he feels like a Raider. I'm going to go Drew Sanders, though. Comp is Brian Cushing right now, and that's a fairly solid comp. Offensive line, I don't think is out of the question. Defensive interior, not out of the question. Guys like Gervon Dexter could be a big help. But I don't want to go defensive line. I think Drew Sanders, he has a great work ethic. He also has experience as a pass rusher for Alabama. So you know he has potential and he has a lot of talent. He also has shown that he can boost his frame up to 250, so you know that he at least has not maxed out his frame. So that's a good one. Stay hydrated, kids. Pick number 40 for the Steelers. We're back. We're not doing trades again just because if he doesn't do trades, not fair for us to do trades. I think that going after interior offensive linemen would not be a bad idea. And someone like Andrew Voorhees or Luke Whippler, I think would be a very solid investment. Now, let's try to stop the run. I know a lot of y'all will be clamoring for Siaki Ika. I just can't. You can pick up a 340-pound fat dude anywhere. And Siaki has a lot more talent than a 340-pound fat dude. He's a 340-pound big dude who just is too slow to get to the QB. He's not going to create insane pressure, and I have not seen it pop off on tape this year. He has a lot that you can love, but the one thing you can't is athleticism. And you have to be athletic in the NFL. It doesn't matter how fat you are. If you can't move, that's just not gonna make a difference. Mozzie Smith is a fun option. Gervon Dexter, a fun option. I would wait. Get Tyler Davis. And then get Jerzon Newton, who's going to be, he's like my number 40 player in the draft class. 39 now, because thanks to your good old boy, Kayshon Boutte. So, love Jerzon Newton. I digress. We got to get my clicker out of there. Make it look more professional for you guys. This is not about pure professionalism. I want to give you guys good content more than, a pretty layout, which hopefully it's pretty enough. I digress. I think that we should be trying to focus on stopping the run. I just don't see the value. I don't. I think the value is really good in the later rounds, and we're going to be doing 7-round mock drafts very soon because PFF updated it. Awesome. Love it. This is the first week we're having 3 rounds in a mock draft. So I think the best value. Let's go offensive line. And it's down to John Michael Schmitz, actually, and Andrew Voorhees. I think Schmitz is a monster. I think that he's better than Mason Cole. I think he has a lot higher upside than Mason Cole. I think Mason Cole can kick to guard if he needs to. Andrew Voorhees as well. I mean, man, honestly, I can get Olusegun in a later round because he's a 6-year senior and be more happy. I'm going to go Andrew Voorhees. He also has tackle potential. I want someone who's going to step in day one and just be an absolute baller. Both of them are 6-year seniors. I love Andrew Voorhees. I always go John Michael Schmitz, so having this is a nice little mix-up to the draft. So pick number 41, this actually is going to be John Michael Schmitz. Rodney Hudson, probably not going to be there forever. So getting someone like John Michael Schmitz, you're getting a defensive interior and an offensive interior. Rodney Hudson is threatened retirement. I'm not having Billy Price take another snap of football in his entire life, so John Michael Schmitz seems to be the guy. He has enough mobility to be able to accommodate with a more mobile offense as well, so I do think that you'll be perfectly fine. Pick 42, AR was the option for you guys in the first round. Now, tight end with someone like Dalton Kincaid definitely makes sense. And if you guys want to go with that, 100%, I'll just say this. Go Josh Wiley in the third. I think this guy is the most underrated player in the entire class. And I love some of my edge rushers, including a guy who I have at number 2 overall. No one talks about Josh Wiley, ever. Isaiah McGuire, I've seen him pop up here and there. Josh Wiley, never. I've seen this guy in person multiple years in a row. I go to SMU. We get our asses whooped every year. This year, not so much, but that's okay. Josh Wiley has been the consistent guy who's been always good every time I watch him. The most underutilized tight end in college. And then, of course, even his buddy there, tripping on his name, the other Cincinnati tight end, he's a really good one too. But go Josh Wiley if you want a very fun option to be able to use as a nice gadget weapon, more of an H-back / tight end. So for me, please do that for yourselves. I do know that running back, wide receiver definitely should at least be on the table. Cornerback should still be on the table. Don't really see the value necessarily unless Garrett Williams comes out. Be a nice option. But I'm going to go edge rusher here. You guys ended up declining 2 firsts and a second for Brian Burns. You care a lot about your edge rushers. And Hassan Reddick, not there anymore. So I want to be able to get somebody who can pretty much emulate that ability. And Will McDonald is here. I think that I would love to test him out in that type of role, that type of Hassan Reddick role. Felix Anudike-Uzomah, oh, actually, no. Nolan Smith is such a good fit. I deserve to put more respect on this man's name. He's number 42 on my board. He's going to go number 42. He's coming back from a pec injury, but man, this guy's talent. Like, I owe him so many apologies for putting him as not a top 100 player. He's incredible talent. Like, he really is. And he's explosive. His explosiveness is not going to change. Obviously, he didn't have a lower body injury. He had an upper body. But, I mean, the reason he does it is because, I mean, he uses his pecs all the time. He throws offensive linemen who are 100 pounds heavier than him off him. Like, he does have incredible strength for his size. So, got to show some love to Nolan Smith. That, like, I started feeling like a weird, like, kind of regret for saying Will McDonald. And then I saw Nolan Smith and it clicked. He's such a Panther. He has the perfect size as well, 235. I think he can cover quite a bit as well. I would not necessarily put him in coverage, but if need be, I think that works. For the Browns, Felix Anudike-Uzomah needs to come off the board eventually. I do think this is a good spot for him to do so. Now, there's some really good players on the board, and I wish they updated it and took out guys like Tyler Nubbin, who are not going to be in this class, who've already declared that they're going to return. But I think the best bang for your buck, man, go Felix Anudike-Uzomah. That guy is number 14 on my board. He's an incredible talent, very well balanced, and he improved his stock over the year because he improved his athleticism. And I always give credit for guys who put in the work to make themselves better. I love that about players. I think that needs to be something that people look at a lot more often. Now, I think Dalton Kincaid would be a fun option here. I think that's a great option. So think about it in your minds. I want to still address that corner position. I really do. Let me know what you guys think about the tight end. I think you guys would be extremely ecstatic about it. Tyree Stevenson, to me, my comp is actually, why do I randomly want to call him the other Georgia corner? Not Eric Stokes, but from the year before. Why am I bugging? Tyson Campbell. There we go. Tyson Campbell's my comp for Tyree Stevenson, 6 foot, 212 pounds. He's going to be running probably a 4.4 as well, like a 4.4 flat. I really like Tyreek, and I think he's very underrated. Amazing size, amazing build, and he's great in man-to-man coverage, great in press. He has some slip-ups here and there, but we saw that from Tyson Campbell as well. He's a perfect scheme fit. He's somebody that you guys need to keep on your radar, and he's used to the Miami mugginess. So Floridians, you guys are kind of used to the weather. Bringing maybe somebody out of state, not always so much. So I think Tyree Stevenson would be a great addition. Pick number 45. This appears like this is my favorite fit. Like Miles Murphy and Darnell Washington. They're two guys who are not super flashy at all. Obviously, Darnell will randomly jump over a dude when he's 270 pounds. Sure. But he's not the guy where he's going to flash every time. You see how well Mercedes Lewis, who's like 80,000 years old, works in this offense. This is the upgraded Mercedes Lewis. He's a great tight end, a great blocker, and he perfectly fits something where you've already seen athleticism is not extremely necessary for it to be extremely impactful. This is like a lock pick for me. I swear to God, if this doesn't happen, I will cry. Like, I am dying for Darnell Washington to the Packers. If it happens in the first, I'd be disappointed with the value. But I'd be so happy with the fit. Like, he is literally everything I want in a Packers tight end to replace Mercedes Lewis. Like, it's my dream. It's my dream for Darnell Washington to be a Packer, which is weird because I was raised as a Steelers and Bears fan, so it's weird for me to get hyped up about the Packers, but y'all know I love the draft and players a lot more than a team anymore. Pick number 46. So Isaiah Wynn was the option earlier. I think that's great. I think edge rusher definitely still could be on the table. I love Will McDonald for this squad. I love seeing Isaiah McGuire for this squad as well. And wide receiver, definitely, it could be on the table. Jalen Hyatt would not be a bad option. It wouldn't be a bad option at all, actually. And I haven't done this before, so let's have a little bit of fun and toss in Jalen Hyatt there. Pick number 47. You got CJ, you got Joey. You know, we'll just assume they've flipped, and then we'll be happy in our minds. So, other positions I want to address. Linebacker, Jack Campbell, perfect. Noah Sewell, awesome. Obviously, Sewell has the connection to his brother. So maybe if the consensus really is that he's not that good, maybe you can try to pick him up with this pick. We'll see. We'll see if he lasts there. I'm hoping he does. Otherwise, I would take Jack Campbell over Noah Sewell just because he's just such a consistent guy. He feels perfect for this. But, I think that's perfect. Oh, I already know multiple teams that I'd take the linebacker for. Oh, man. So this is a classic scenario where I'm going to purposely reach, but that's because I know I'm not going to get him later. Noah Sewell's going to be the pick. You're pairing him up back with Penny. It sucks, but I already know I'm taking multiple linebackers within the next even 5 picks. I know that multiple would be gone. That would include Noah Sewell. Pick number 48 for the Jets, another team that probably could have been at least in the consideration for Noah Sewell. So you guys ended up going Osiris Torrance. I still think offensive tackle Darnell Wright is perfect. I do this for you guys in the first round a lot. But it's not realistic to go offensive line. You also have, what's Max's last name? Max Mitchell, who is developing. So you might just want to continue sticking with that. I love safety with J.L. Skinner for this team. I love linebacker. I like tight end as well. I think Dalton Kincaid could be a really fun option for you guys. So Dalton Kincaid, he's put up multiple 200-yard games against even playoff-level teams. So definitely know that he can at least be able to put up good yardage versus some solid talent. Pick number 49. So another team that honestly could use a linebacker. And I think that's the team I am going to use it on. Jack Campbell is an amazing leader. I definitely feel like he could be that Cody Barton upgrade for this team. And not saying it's the same role, but you think about like that type of leadership and that type of impact. Jack Campbell is going to be a consistent dude. Put him next to Jordan Brooks. You're going to have a very nice linebacker core there. You're starting to shape up to have a very good squad. Pick number 50 for the Buccaneers. Is it now time to take my number 2 player in the class? I think it is. You took Christian Gonzalez with your first pick. This is going to be a Will Golston replacement. My number 2 player in the class. I'll scroll down so you guys get to see more of my board here. Then you guys get to see where Brian Barisi is too. We're going to take my number 2 player, and he is right here, Isaiah McGuire. Just, if you guys want me to prove it, I've already done this with you guys quite a few times. He's so awesome. Just ask me in Discord, and we'll just do a hop into a live chat, and we'll do a tape study on him. Pick number 51, another team that would have probably taken a linebacker here. I think tight end, honestly, not a bad choice. Sam Laporta. We already got a wide receiver in the first round, though. I think we could look at some other choices. I wish Garrett Williams were coming out. Again, we're not choosing to have him come out. Corner, not necessarily enough value on the board to be worth it. I know it's a big need, but not something I'm going to address. Quarterback, no. Running back, no. Offensive line, not really. So I'm kind of stuck a little bit here. Linebacker would be a dream for you guys. So I think tight end's the best value. And Sam Laporta, he's a nice blocker as well. Definitely he's going to run very well. If he gets his drop issues taken away, he's going to be a top-tier tight end. I'll scroll up a little bit because there's still guys on the board that you guys should know about. I'm like realizing that, like, damn, kind of feel a little bit rude here. You still see Garrett Williams on the board as well, though. Pick number 52 for Washington. You guys ended up going a corner with Keely Ringo in the first. Love that for you guys. But with this pick, another spot where I would love a linebacker. Not going to be taking any of these dudes. I love Ivan Pace. I don't know if he ends up being a second-round pick. He, I believe, has some personality concerns. He started quite a few fights against SMU, so maybe not the best guy in the world. But I do think you could actually end up going with another safety to pair up with Cam Curl. I'm trying to think if you guys have... I know you guys drafted one like the 4th round last year, but there's a specific role that your safety plays that I think J.L. Skinner would be great for, that linebacker/safety hybrid. But you still could go tight end here. I think offensive line definitely does need some extra dudes in it. So, honestly, let's get some line help. Let's go Luke Whippler in here. I don't think you need a center at all. I like Chase Rouillet, but I think Luke Whippler brings a lot of potential. Definitely someone you could slide around to multiple positions of the offensive line. He's young, and I love his consistency. So, big fan of Luke Whippler. Pick number 53 for the Titans. Ended up going after a wide receiver in round 1. I think going after line is pretty paramount. So let's look at the guys who are available. Blake Freeland, perfect. I think he's an absolutely amazing scheme fit. He'd be great for any form of team that's heavy on the run. So I think this is a perfect spot for him. Very consistent. Definitely something that you guys are kind of longing for there in Nashville. Pick 54. This was a corner for in the first round. Cam Smith. Do like that. Wide receiver wise, I'm looking at these guys, and obviously Xavier Hutchinson is still worth a top 32 spot on my board. I do like him a lot. Gotta, of course, restudy him, so that's why we haven't exactly had full confidence in his ability yet. But I don't see a receiving option I'm really excited about. I don't. Josh Wiley, if I'm really want to go balls to the wall, that could be a guy who I'd be very excited for. Linebacker, I think that's a perfect spot to take one. I don't know enough about Cedric Gray here. Michael Jones has done a phenomenal job all year long. It's kind of annoying. I hope that they at least factor in Missouri's Tyron Hopper, because he's a very good linebacker. But I digress. This is a tough spot. It is a tough spot. And you could definitely look at running back here. I'm going to assume Blake Corum returns based off of an AC or his injuries. Not an ACL. He doesn't have an ACL tear. But he's been out. I totally forgot what happened to Blake Corum. I don't remember exactly why, but I have a weird feeling he's going to return as well. It's a deep running back class. I don't know if Michigan wins it, and I think he might want to run it back with his true sophomore quarterback. But Devon Achane could be fun. Oh, right. I remember you guys told me about how Josh Kelly's been playing very well, and he has been, as well as Isaiah Spiller. Forgot about him in there. We're going to go wide receiver. We are. And we're going to find somebody who's damn good. That's going to be Justin Shorter. I'm a big fan of Justin Shorter. 6'4", 230 pounds. It's disgusting that they do not have him in their top 250. That's disgusting. We'll just say it will be Ricky Pearsall. I can't believe after having this many players in, they're going to end up going with that. Justin Shorter is my number 32 player in the class. He might be number 31 now. Yeah, he's my number 31 player in the class. 6'4", 225, 230 pounds. He's going to run a 4.4. He's been incredible. Number 1 wide receiver coming out of his high school class. I don't understand that why there's no love for this guy. He's incredible. Pick for number 55, the first of the Dolphins. There's not many positions that I would necessarily go. I don't think this team needs many. Tight end, definitely at least in the consideration, but I don't really think there's any tight ends really worth it. Again, Josh Wiley would be perfect for the scheme. I don't think he goes this high. Offensive tackle, Darnell Wright's here. Let's get a right tackle. Let's do it. Honestly, he's number 34 or 33 on my board. I think he's incredible. So very excited to see him in the Senior Bowl as well. So number 56, I think I talked about going a running back here as well. So Devon Achane definitely is the guy who's leading the charge here. I want to see what I got earlier for the Panthers. Nolan Smith. So yeah, we're going to go Devon Achane. That's kind of been like my thing. Get a running back later on. Super high upside, 4.24 speed, and he's incredible. He's an incredible back. Pick 57 for the Bears. Will McDonald would be awesome, but you guys already ended up going after like Will McDonald times 2 in the first with Will Anderson. So offensive line, I think you gotta look at some offensive line help here, guys. And looking at the guys who are available, it's slim pickings, but I'm gonna go Olusegun. I want to get some help on the interior. Olusegun's my number 32 player in the class. You're gonna get a nice veteran in there. He's used to a more mobile quarterback as well. I just need something to go right, and Olusegun's gonna be the type of dude who gets me going. Pick 58. So I think tackle is a big concern for this team. I wish Darnell Wright were on the board. Grant Barton, Cody Mock. Cody Mock definitely feels he could be like that. That feels randomly very, very. Why do I want to say Baltimore? Cincinnati Bengals. Feels very Cincinnati Bengals. I don't know why. He has that intangibility to him. But I'm not going to do that. Some people do feel that T. Higgins will end up trying to go for bigger money elsewhere. That is potentially a concern. You have 2 safeties up for a contract this year. And I also think a linebacker could be assisted. I'm going to try JL Skinner out. He's a big safety. He's going to be he could be a linebacker for you. I love what JL Skinner brings to the table. He is, I believe, still in my top 32. Oh, no, he's number 46 now. He is a really, really good player. And people underrate the hell out of him. But, it is what it is. I'm happy I did not wait for a linebacker. I'll put it that way. Happy I did not wait for a linebacker. But now is the time to go defensive interior. This is going to be Jerzon Newton, who, again, not listed. Gotta love it. You know what? Gotta love it. There we go. It's not Fabian Lovett. It is Jerzon Newton, big guy for the Discord. I am a huge fan of Jerzon Newton. Pick number 60 for the Bills. Man, what did we go in the first? Not we. What did he go in the first? Antonio Johnson, love it. Big fan. Again, love it. Running back, man, if I'm assuming Blake Corum is coming out, I take him. Obviously, I'm not saying that right now. I think Zach Charbonnet could be a nice round 3 target. Sean Tucker, another guy who I would consider. So, right tackle I've heard is also a concern. You could try to develop DeJuan Jones. That's not my style, personally. Definitely not in that category. I want to develop at least something. And Christian Haynes, he's going to be running probably in like the 4.6s, in my opinion. This guy's the most athletic offensive lineman I've ever seen. I want to see what happens when he can actually take time to develop on a Super Bowl caliber roster. Pick 61 for the Cowboys, another team where Christian Haynes would be honestly a pretty nice get. You guys end up going an edge in the first round. Now, I think wide receiver could be a nice addition for the long run. That could be definitely something where you've already shown your need for a nice bursty slot weapon. Now, Xavier Hutchinson, I think he'll be running high 4.4s. I think he'll be like 4.48. And I might be totally wrong on that. But for me, I think that would be a great choice for the team. He is my number 26 player in the class. You need some extra receiving help. That's the type of guy who's going to bring it for you. Pick number 62 for the Chiefs. Ended up going after an edge rusher in the first. Offensive tackle as well as defense interior are the guys who I'm trying to target. Gervon Dexter is here. I would love Gervon on this team. I'm going to go Tyler Davis, who, again, pop off last night to me when I was watching him. So, big fan of Tyler Davis. And then pick number 63. So, Bijan as well as Isaiah Foskey, two of the guys who I'm not very in sync with at their respective picks, have been taken. Corner definitely could be looked at, and I'd be interested in Eli Ricks. I'm assuming he's returning as well, just because, again, I think this cornerback class is a little too stacked at that point. I am actually going to go defensive interior for this team, and we're going to go Gervon Dexter. Going to be your Javon Hargrave replacement. Definitely have never taken him for you guys, but let me know what you guys think. As of course, I'm going to scroll over here so you guys get a quick recap, but let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the far side. Peace.